Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I am back from vacation. Talked about this before I went on vacation, that I'm going to start doing some animation videos, more complex type of animation rather than just something turning and twisting or something like that. So that's what we're going to start today, and I'm going to make this a series of videos because the whole thing could be long. But in the meantime, Federico Pinati came out with a video on basically doing the same thing. Okay, his is about 31 minutes long or something like that. But I'm going to be touching on the same things that he talks about in that video. So you can also check back to this one for more detailed stuff, because that's usually the way I do it. But anyway, hey, cool thing on my vacation, I was able to go to the Lockheed Martin F-35 fighter factory and take a tour. That was pretty cool. I'd love to show you photographs, but not allowed to. But anyway, let's go on. This first video, we're going to kind of do some setups, get some prerequisites downloaded and for Blender, and do some things in our work directory to get it going. And we'll see where we get on this first video, okay? So anyway, I am in my 5 Alpha 1 guinea pig project. Just a local airport around here that doesn't have anything on it really, that I use to test different things that I'm doing. Okay, so Sim Update 10 has come out, and they have released along with it the new SDK scenery tools. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to go into where I downloaded my SDK, and I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to go to Bin. All right, and notice that the fspackagetools.exe now has an August 11th date. All right, and if we go into our project that we're working on, 5 Alpha 1, and I go into that folder, notice that that is fspackagetools.exe is dated December 6th, 2021. So my project stays current with the most recent SDK. I'm going to go over to where my SDK bin folder is, and I'm going to right click and drag the FS package tools into my 5 Alpha 1. We're going to copy here, and we're going to replace the current copy. All right, so if we go into 5 Alpha 1, I now have the most recent version of the FS package tool. And I've already built a couple of my airports using it to make sure that they're consistent. Checking my stuff on flightsim.to, so I wanted to make sure that the package tools were compatible, and they are. So I don't know what's changed that much in this, but since it has a new date, we're going to use it. Now we're going to set up, we're going to go into my package sources, and we're going to go into our model lib, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this Millman. Okay, and this is where we're going to create our new model. Now, I am not going to model a person. I can't model people with garbage. Okay, well, actually, I can with garbage. I can't model people. Okay, so I'm going to go get one, and I'm going to show you where I'm going to tell you where you can go get 3D models. The first place that I'm going to go is I'm going to go to sketchfab.com. All right, and I'm going to download a 3D model, and I found a model that I'm going to use. All right. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this model into Blender, and I have to do some edits and some changes to get it ready for our animation. But it's a pretty good model. I'll probably use him on my Mansfield Lamb Airport because it's a National Guard Ohio Air National Guard base, and I'll probably make him like walking into one of the C-130s or working around the C-130. Okay, so this particular model is useful to me. All right, so basically I'm just going to download the 3D model, and I'm going to choose the GLTF. Okay, now I do already have them downloaded. Okay, but I'm going to choose the GLTF and hit the download, and I'm going to download that to my computer, which I already have. So I have a folder called Military Man in my Blender Learn. This is where I do have my experimental models and stuff. All right. And so if I expand the Military Man, all right, you'll notice that I have a GLTF that says Scene, GLTF, and Bin. All right, that is actually the GLTF for that man that we just downloaded from Sketchfab. All right, I'll explain all this stuff later on. We'll actually recreate these. Okay, that's just a session that I've already done, but I'm starting over for you guys. Now, what we want to do is we want to take, I'm going to take this scene bin and GLTF, and I am going to copy those into my package sources, model lib, and Millman. So I'm going to right click and drag these and drop these into Millman. Okay, so now I have a copy of them. All right, and we're going to build a brand new Blender file out of them. But the other thing that I want you to also download is some kind of animation. All right, now you can easily manipulate your models later on, you know, using the bones and things. But if you wanted to get pre-made animations of like people and things like that, Mixamo, there's a link in the description for Mixamo, but it gives you all different animation styles or processes already made. All right, now I took this basic shooter pack. There's 16 animations in this pack. All right, so if I click that, and it loads, it shows you what the animation does. Okay, so they run, stop, throw a hand grenade, different kinds of animations, and they're separate files. There's 16 different animations in there. Okay, see that backing up, that's one, and there's one where they're jumping, and then there's also another animation like gonna happen right here. Okay, throwing a hand grenade. All right, we're gonna use that. All right, so at Mixamo, you probably need an account. It's free. So create an account, and it's from Adobe. So if you already have an Adobe account, you can just get right in. But I'm going to hit download, and that's going to bring up this box. And we are going to accept the defaults. Now, you might find one up here that deals with like skins and things. You don't want to download the skin because you're going to apply only the animation to whatever model that you've downloaded from Sketchfab. All right, so I already have them downloaded, but I would hit download and it would download them to my machine. Okay, so I hope you understand that. So you go get a model at Sketchfab or whatever, and then you go to Mixamo and you find a animation pack that you want to use for your character. All right, so I'm going to minimize that. Now the next step is we need to get a add-in or a plug-in for Blender. All right, so I'm going to open up my Blender, and actually I'm not going to open up my Blender. I am going to open up another tab, and there's a link in the video of this particular tab download, and that's a GitHub, and it's called the Simple Retarget Tool for Blender. Okay, and there's a link to this product in the video description. Okay, and we are going to download the zip file, the Simple Retarget Tool Blender. So you're going to go to Code, and you're going to download the zip file to wherever you want to put it on your machine. Okay, now again, I already have this downloaded, so just download that. Then you're going to go into Blender, and you're going to go to Edit, and you're going to go to Preferences, and you're going to hit the Install, and wherever you copied that Retarget add-on, you're going to go into that folder, and I can't remember where I have it. Is it under Learn Blend? We'll find out. Yeah, I copied it to my Blender Learn folder, and it's Simple Retarget Tool Blender Main. All right, so to install it, you'll click on that and hit Install Add-on. Don't unzip it, just leave it in its raw zip format. Okay, select that zip, hit Install Add-on, and then you'll have a checkbox that you'll simply just click the checkbox. Let me see where I have that here. Okay, right here. Rigging, Simple Retarget Tool. Make sure that that checkbox is checked. And you will also want to enable the Rigify plugin that actually comes with Blender. All right, so you'll want to checkbox that too as well. Okay, so I have both of those ready to go. Now it's time to start working with our model, and there's usually a lot of cleanup when you download something from Sketchfab. All right, so that's what we're going to do next. Okay, let's get started with working with our objects. All right, so we got the default cube and the lights. I'm going to go ahead and delete those, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to import a GLTF2, and I am going to migrate over to my 5-alpha-1 model lib, and we're going to go into Millman. And we're going to select the scene, GLTF, and import. All right, so right off the bat, we have our default figure, and it also has all the bones in it. And I believe it also has what they call vertex groups. Animations are highly dependent on vertex groups. So we'll talk about that as we get into the animation, probably in the next video. Right now we're just getting our model ready. Now usually with the stuff that you download from Sketchfab, you got to do a lot of editing. All right, now we don't want the bones because we're going to create new bones to work with. So, but if I select the bones and hit delete, you notice that this whole thing gets scaled. All right, this guy is huge, right? So if I click on him and bring up the items, notice that he's 147 meters wide, and he is 69 meters tall. We don't want that. All right, so I'm going to hit Control Z a couple times, go back to where we started, hit period on my keypad to focus. Now the default size is 2 meters high, which is almost, that's including the bones themselves. But the guy itself is not that tall. All right, so with everything selected, I am going to go to Object, and I'm going to apply scale. All right, now I am going to select these bones, and then I'm going to delete them. And now notice that our soldier did not change size. All right, so we need to get rid of the original bones. The other thing about this model is that he has different pieces parts for his head, his hands, his torso, his legs, his feet. There's probably even more than that. He probably has eyes. Yeah, he has eyes. He has eyelids, okay? And he also probably has a mouth. So I'm going to go to X-ray, and you notice that inside this dude's head, he has teeth, tongue, gums, all that kind of stuff. He has an internal mouth. So if you were doing animation where he smiles, his teeth shows and stuff like that, you can keep it, but for Flight Simulator and the detail that we usually animate in Flight Simulator, I recommend that you delete the interior mouth. So with the head selected, I'm going to go, I'm inside this dude's head now, all right? And I'm going to go into edit mode. I think I have the head selected. Yep, I'm going to go into edit mode, tab in, all right? And I am going to start deleting elements of this guy's mouth. I'm going to go into viewport shading for textures, and notice that he is all purple, right? And the reason that he's all purple is because I moved the GLTF and I did not move the textures that go along with this model. So at the same time, since I made a mistake, I might as well show you how to get out of it. Okay, so you remember I copied the two scenes, the bin and the GLTF, to my 5 Alpha 1 airport project, right? Which is down here somewhere. Okay, so scene 5 Alpha 1, package sources, model lib, and I created this millman and I copied these files into the millman. But notice that there's a textures directory for our original model, right? That man that we downloaded. And if I double click on this, I go into that folder, and these are the textures that are used for that guy, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, I'm going to select all 3 of these, and I am going to drop those into the texture directory in my model lib. So I'm going to right click and drag and drop those into texture. Okay, now Blender still doesn't know where those textures are, so we need to tell Blender where those textures are. So I'm going to get out of edit mode, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to External Data, and I'm going to find Missing Files, and I am going to migrate over to my 5 Alpha 1 model lib and my textures directory, double click that, and then I'm going to say find missing files. And now we have the textures for our guy, right? All right, we're going to fix the textures because if you notice that you can see through them, all right, we're going to fix that here in a bit. But let's go back to deleting this guy's mouth. All right, so let's go back into edit mode by tabbing, and I'm going to hit the period to focus on my selected, and we're going to go right back inside this guy's head. All right, so I'm going to zoom in here. All right, so I see some of his mouth, and if I click off of that, you can see that there are some objects in there that will need to select. So if I click, whoops, if I, oh, if I go X-ray mode and I'm inside this guy's head, if I select part of his mouth and hit L, which selects any connected objects to that selected vertex. All right, so this is probably the casing for his mouth. All right, I can simply delete that. I'm going to delete faces, so the inside of his mouth is gone. Now, before we get too far, I'm going to fix these textures right off the bat so they're opaque, because this is a little bit confusing, because those textures, I'm able to see through them, and it's kind of, it just kind of throws things off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at their materials. So I'm going to get out of edit mode and see how they look. They're really kind of, this is kind of what we want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the object, and I'm going to come down here to materials. And these are the packed material 0 matte is the materials for this guy. All the different colors of his uniform, his mouth, his eyes, and all that kind of stuff. And let's come down here and look at the blend mode. Notice that it says alpha blend. Since it says alpha blend, it's making the alpha channel transparent. In this particular case, we don't want that. So I'm going to change alpha blend to opaque. Okay. Now, when I go back into edit mode, and if I turn off ghost mode, all those features inside his mouth now look better. And if I get outside of him, his uniform is no longer transparent. Okay, so let's go back into this guy's head again, and let's delete more of the internal mouth. All right, so with vertex select, I'm going to select this vertex, hit L for any linked features, and I'm going to delete those faces. So here's another one, and I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit delete faces. Let's get rid of his tongue, so select that, hit L and delete faces. And his gums, we're going to hit L for any linked features, hit delete faces, so that's gone. The roof of his mouth, we're going to select that, hit L for anything that's linked to the roof of his mouth, and that's not what we want on that one, because that actually selects part of his face, and we don't want to delete that, right? Okay, so we are going to select this face, hit L. Instead of doing vertex select, I selected the face and then hit the L for any linked faces to that one face that we did select. Hit delete face, and then we have all his teeth, and each one of these are each one of his teeth are individual teeth. All right, so if I hit one polygon, hit L. No, that's not what I want. Let's hit this. How do I want to do this? Should, yeah, there we go. Select his tooth and delete it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the rest of his teeth and delete all his interior mouth, and I'll be right back. Okay, one more tooth, so I'm going to select this face, hit L for any, nope, not those. Select this one, hit L. What's going on? How come it's not working? Let's try again. Let's zoom in here, and let's select another face, hit L. There we go. Now I just have that tooth selected, hit delete, and faces. All right, so we've removed the inside of this guy's mouth. All right, now we can remove his eyeball if we wanted to, but the problem with removing his eyeball is that we will lose his iris and his pupil, because they're all part of this sphere. Okay, so we'll go ahead and leave his eyeballs alone. All right, it looks like he's wearing mascara which is whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and save, file, save, and we are going to save this as, let's go into our model lib, go into model lib and go into Millman, and let's save this as, let's call him Soldier. I think that's right, Soldier. Okay, we're going to call it Soldier Blend and save our blender. All right, so we removed this guy's mouth. Okay, now we could remove his eyeballs and all that kind of stuff, but we don't need to. We also need to do some more work. We need to join all of everything in this guy, his eyes, his hat, his boots, his legs. They're all separate right now, okay? But what we need to do is we need to select all of them, and we need to put him into one object. So we're going to Control J. So now he is one object, okay? There are some other things we need to get rid of. All right, so first of all, let's call our collection. Let's rename our collection to Soldier. And object 15 is now our pieces parts of our soldier. So we're going to rename this one. Let's just call this Man for now. Hit enter. All right, now what we want to do is let's go into edit mode, and just to kind of clean things up, we are going to select vertices, select all vertices, and we're going to hit M. We're going to merge all the vertices within a distance, so we can, if there's vertices on top of vertices, we can snap those together and get rid of the one that's the same. All right, so we don't have duplicate vertices. All right, so I'm going to merge by distance. Okay, so we removed 1,104 vertices that we wouldn't have had to. We had 1,104 duplicates. All right, another thing to do is go to Mesh, and let's do Cleanup and delete any loose vertices, and then let's go to Mesh, and let's go to Cleanup, and let's do a Degenerate Dissolve. Okay, so let's select all. Let's do that again. Cleanup, Degenerate, Dissolve. All right, and let's do a save. Just some basic cleanup. So that gets rid of anything that's orphaned or sharing the same space. All right, we just kind of fine-tuned our model a little bit. Okay, now the other thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of all these extra objects. Okay, these aren't actually objects. All right, we're going to get rid of all of these extra stuff that we don't need. We only want our model itself. All right, so I'm going to hit delete. Okay. And we're going to delete everything except our actual man. Okay. All right. So we have our man there. All right. And then we also want to get rid of all of these vertex groups, because when we add in a new skeleton, all right, it's going to create all of these bones for us, all right, or all of these vertex groups. So we want to get rid of the vertex groups. So if we click the object data properties with our person selected, you're just going to get rid of all of these vertex groups by hitting the minus until there's nothing in that box. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay, so we got rid of all of the vertex groups. All right. Now we also don't need. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. That was a mistake. All right, so here is our man right here. All right. What I wanted to do is I did it wrong, okay, is I want to go to the modifiers and I want to delete the armature modifier, okay. The way that I did it before is I hit the armature in the table of contents, hit delete, and that actually deleted our guy. You don't want to do that. I just did it wrong. You just go to the modifiers and remove the armature modifier because we need to create a new one anyway. All right. So I now have a clean model. I have our soldier or man, all right, which is our object, and I have the materials for him. All right. So he is ready to go for the next step. Let's do a save. The final step for today's video is we are going to need a new skeleton for this guy. I'm going to go tilde-F to get a front view. Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to add a new skeleton. So you are going to go add armature, basic human. And that adds a skeleton to him. However, he is not scaled correct. The skeleton's not scaled to the body, and that's what we're going to do next. So in order to see his skeleton, we are going to come down here to the armature or the object properties. Okay, we're going to come down here to viewport display, and we are going to put this in front so you can see the skeleton. Okay. Now we want to scale our skeleton so the top of his head matches. So we're going to, with our skeleton selected, hit S and scale that down here. Okay, let me do a tilde-F to get a front view and try to line up his shoulder bones. I think that's about right, but we also need to, let's go into edit mode and select this top and bring this down, GZ, and move that down to the top of his head. All right. Now, the pose is not a T-pose, okay? So what we want to do is we want to select this bone. We need to go to edit, go into the pose mode and select this bone right here, and we want to rotate this up, okay? And we want to select this bone and we want to rotate this up so it's in the T pose, okay? Then we're going to want to move. Let's go into edit mode here, and let's select this one and move it in the Y so it's there. Okay. Oh, I forgot something. Hold on. What I forgot to show you is once we rotate this bone, okay, so remember in pose mode we rotated this bone so it's straight out instead of pointing down. Okay, after you do that, in pose mode, go to pose, apply pose to as rest position. So now if we go into edit mode, it doesn't move on us. All right, now we're going to go into edit mode, and I want to take this and move it in the Y Move that here. Go into pose mode, yeah. Okay. And go back into edit mode. And I want to select this joint here, move that in the Y, move it there, and let's move his wrist forward a little bit. Move Y. Okay. So we're just adjusting his joints to be where they need to be. And then his hand, I'm going to move that out here. Okay, tilde T for top view. Select this one, move that in the Y. Alright, and we can actually, I think that looks good just like that. Alright, make sure that his knees are lined up, which they are. His hip, and the rest of his skeleton. Alright, so that we have done. Alright. Alright, so what did we do today? Today we set up our Blender to work with rigging and things like that. We've also downloaded a figure, a model, and we did some cleanup just so that we have just our model right here. Okay, we got rid of all the vertex groups because this actually created new vertex groups. And then we just kind of played around with the joints and moved those into the correct location. All right. Now I can actually take this one right here. Whoops. Let's go into edit mode and select this one, and let's move that in the Z. Let's move that up. Take his hand, GZ, move that up. And we can probably take that and move that up a little bit. All right. So we did some editing. So our pose is in the T position, the T pose as well. All right. So let's do a file save. And in the next video, we are going to start applying some animations to our soldier. All right. So I will see you guys on the next video. We'll see you guys later.